But which one of these two lenses should you choose? In this review, I'm gonna compare the Samyang 24-70mm F2.8 to the Tamron 28-75mm F2.8 G2 lens and help you decide which one of these you should get. Also, I've got both of these lenses linked in the description below if you want to check them out. One of the biggest reasons why both of these lenses are so popular is that they're so much cheaper than, for example, the Sony G Master equivalent lenses. The Tamron cost $899 and the Samyang cost $999. And for example, the Sony G Master 24-70 F2.8 2 version cost $2,298, and these prices are according to B&H Photo. The most obvious difference between these two lenses is of course the size, the focal length, and the weight of the lenses. But I'll get back into the focal length differences a little bit later and why they might matter to you. The Tamron weighs 540 grams, but the Samyang weighs 1 kilo, which makes it almost double the weight of the Tamron, and it's also a lot bigger and bulkier. And also, when you extend the barrel of the lenses, the Samyang extends a lot more than the Tamron's barrel. Okay, let's talk about the build quality of the lenses. So the Samyang feels a little bit plasticky, but I gotta say that it feels pretty high quality considering that it's made mostly out of plastic. But the Samyang feels significantly more high quality and a lot more robust, and it's also weather sealed, which is really good. On the side of the Samyang is a custom switch that allows you to adjust the aperture with the focus ring, which I personally don't care about, but hey, at least the option is there. The Samyang has a filter size of 82mm, but I personally prefer the filter size of the Tamron, which is 67mm, and the reason why I prefer that size is that all of my lenses have the same filter size of 67mm, which means that I can use the exact same ND filter with all of my lenses without having to deal with these step-up rings, which is one less thing for me to worry about, and it makes my workflow a lot more streamlined. Also, the ND filters that I used with both of these lenses are the Nisi True Color 2 to 5 stop ND filters, and the reasons why I think that these are probably the best ND filters that I've ever used are, as the name suggests, they've got very good color accuracy, there's no weird color shifts, and the glass is really high quality. And this one little thing, the cover on the ND filters is so handy. You just put it on and you can just put your camera with your lens with the ND filter on it back into the camera bag, and when you pull it out from your camera bag, the cap stays on the ND filter. I also did some autofocus tests with both of the lenses, but in my opinion I didn't notice any major differences in the autofocus between the two lenses. However, I did notice that the autofocus with the Samyang was a bit slower, and the autofocus of the Tamron was a little bit smoother and felt more natural, kind of like there was someone actually pulling focus. Also, I did some side-by-side comparisons of the image quality of both of the lenses, and again, I didn't notice any major differences. However, I did notice that the colors between the two lenses were slightly different. my favorite things about the Samyang is that at its widest focal length, it's 24mm, which is one of my favorite focal lengths because it's nice and wide, but it's not too wide that it would distort the image too much. And if you compare it to the Tamron's widest focal length, 28mm, you can definitely notice the difference in small places where you need that extra wideness. Whereas when you need to zoom in for a nice tight shot and to get a nice blurry background, then the difference between the Samyang 70mm and the Tamron 75mm isn't really noticeable and doesn't actually matter at all in my opinion. Also, I really love it that the minimum focusing distance of the Tamron at 28mm is only 7.1 inches, which is only 18 centimeters, which is like really close. And with the Samyang, it wasn't nearly as close, the minimum focusing distance. I don't know the exact minimum focusing distance, but it wasn't nearly as good as with the Tamron. Cause with the Tamron, it almost felt like you can get macro kind of shots. So what are my final thoughts and which lens should you get? Well, if you want the wider 24mm focal length and the heavier weight of the Samyang doesn't bother you, then the Samyang is definitely a great choice. And actually the heavier weight of the lens is really helpful if you're planning to shoot a lot of handheld footage, because the heavier weight of the lens helps you to get steadier and smoother shots and helps you to get rid of those micro shakes that you might get when you're filming handheld. However, if you don't care about the difference between the 24mm and the 28mm of the Tamron, and you specifically want a lens that's more lightweight, then obviously the Tamron is a lot better choice for you, especially if you're planning to use it on a gimbal. Because the Tamron is such a lightweight lens that once you've balanced the gimbal with the lens and the camera, then if you decide, for example, on a run-and-gun situation, zoom out the lens and extend the barrel and continue shooting on the go, you might not even need to rebalance the gimbal because the lens is such a lightweight lens, and when you zoom out, the barrel doesn't extend that much. And remember, if you're interested in buying either one of these lenses, then you can get them from the links from the description below, and that won't cost you any extra, but I will get a small kickback from that, which will help me make more of these videos. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about Sony full-frame lenses, then I highly recommend watching either one of these videos somewhere here on the screen, because I think you're gonna find it helpful as well. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.